I love everything pirate related. I love ships, I love swords, cannons, unexplored islands, mysteries. I love pirate movies, I love pirating games. I pretty much find the golden age of piracy to be one of the most fascinating periods in human history. Now, personally, I would have rather been a privateer, basically state endorsed piracy on enemy ships, but I'll take what I can get. The only thing that would make me reconsider would be the horrible food. So when Ubisoft released Skull and Bones, I was kinda hyped. I mean, it's the first quadruple A game, so it has to be good, right?
Son of a bitch!
I'll be honest with you, yeah, I like pirates, but the reason I'm playing this game is because after nearly deleting weeks worth of recording and editing for a big video I'm working on, I needed to play something to calm my nerves, so I chose this.
You chose poorly.
And I should have known, all the clues were there. I didn't go for the golden cup or the wooden one. I basically jumped straight to the rusty rat poop infested bean can in the corner of the room, took a giant swig out of it, and expected immortality. Got rat AIDS instead. We all know this game has been stuck in the 9th level of developer hell for the past few years. It was supposed to be the multiplayer version of Black Flag, but Ubisoft changed its mind on what this game is supposed to look and feel like so many times that it ended up a garbled mess. I've heard someone say that in Sea of Thieves you're a guy sailing the ship, well here you are the ship. Because the game basically has no gameplay to speak of when it comes to in-person fighting. No walking on your ship, no boarding, no sword fighting, no gunplay, no nothing. The only time you see your character is when you are in port and you walk from vendor to vendor. That's it. Not that you want to see your character, because this game has one of the worst character creations of all time. But what did you expect? You create your character in the reflection of a piss puddle. Also, why do all the male characters have this feminized look about them? I think it's the eyes. The same thing can be said about Starfield. It's a challenge to create a manly looking character. When I was creating my Starfield character, I had to run to the bathroom to look at myself in the mirror because these characters make my scrawny nerd ass look like Hulk Hogan.
20,000 leagues under the sea is a nice place to deposit somebody, brother.
Also, you can tell how half-assed this part of the game is just by the way your character moves. It feels like I have wheels instead of legs. I keep sliding around and turning like a tank. And I swear this is not me stopping, he just randomly stops running. Maybe it's to simulate that he isn't used with walking on land, but he doesn't walk on the ship either. The gameplay loop of this game revolves around upgrading your ship. You start off on this raft and move up to bigger and bigger ships. And there aren't that many ships in the game, more than in Sea of Thieves where you just have 3, but at least that one had more mechanics like gunplay and sword fighting and stuff like that. Here, with me being basically restricted into being the ship, it feels like I have even less of a choice. And I use the snow class because I'm a special little snowflake, but most people use the brigandine, and it feels like I'm playing against a bunch of bots because they all look the same. Oh, they will add more ships, don't worry about it. They should have added a lot more ships from the start. This feels like a beta test, and it feels that way because it is. The game doesn't even have a functioning chat. Players need to rely on sending out Morse code with flares. I can't even think of another multiplayer game where the chat isn't working. As of making this video, it's been more than a week since the game has been out, and it's still not fixed. I'm also disappointed by, well, I thought I was gonna play as a badass pirate, but instead my expectations were subverted and I'm actually playing as a whaler. Because why else would I have her on my fucking boat?
Daddy, it's a ship!
Shut the fuck up. If you want both men and women in your crew, then at least make them hot. Give me a crew full of hot babes, I'll take it. Or is that too unrealistic for you? But having women in the crew of an 18th century ship isn't? Which, by the way, never happened. That never happened. Women were seen as bad luck to have on your ship, and I can see why. And we have ghosts and sea monsters, but Ubisoft draws the line at beautiful women. That's too unrealistic. And there's a 2-to-1 ratio. Look at this. This is some ESG bullshit. Tell me you have an agenda without telling me you have an agenda. And speaking of, out of 2 main quest givers, one is a male, the other one is a female. Maybe there's a third one out there, but I haven't gotten that far. So of course the male is a useless, backstabbing drunkard, and the woman is, well, powerful women are always despised. Kiss my stern. And my brain can't take this garbage anymore, so as soon as I've heard her talk about this shit, my brain just clocked out and I ended up skipping this garbage. There isn't that much to say about the story of the game anyway. It's as generic as it comes. ChatGPT probably wrote the script for half of this. So you get to equip cannons, rockets, and torpedoes, and mortars, and goddamn flamethrowers, and all sorts of different gear in order to get an edge on other players, which is really cool. Personally, I like the long guns because they're more realistic. I know, stupid. But also they're pretty good. But no matter how good your gear is, it will never be as good as having a friend. Because I was kicking ass in the first few days, but unfortunately it didn't last because these smelly ass pirates play dirty and they started organizing. And yeah, real pirates also used to work together, but there's a problem. Remember, you only paid $70 for this game, so they couldn't afford giving you a chat. Ubisoft would rather allocate resources to adding this to my crew instead of, adding a functioning chat in their multiplayer game so I can talk with other people instead of having to organize on online forums and Discord channels and shit just to play their buggy featureless AAA game. And yes, you do have to organize because if not, no matter how good you are, you will never survive getting ganked by free nerds in the middle of the ocean, okay? Also, while I'm talking about PvP, the one thing they really did well is how they combined questing with PvP. So in this game, you're not always flagged for PvP, so you don't get griefed by some sweaty ass pirate when you're busy farming coconuts. Also, yes, this is how you collect stuff. It's like a mobile game. It's shitty yet strangely addictive. So yeah, you're not always flagged for PvP. No, here you have these quests like getting a treasure map with really good rewards but which flags you for PvP.
Look to the map. What's it say?
Ceased by some broccoli.
Or fighting for these locations which create pieces of 8, or you sometimes get an option of doubling your pieces of 8 if you transport them from one place to another while flagged. All very well done, very good. However, they managed to mess this one up too, because they allow your pursuers to actually teleport from port to port. Imagine beating someone only to have them go to the nearest port, fix their ship, and then teleport in front of your path. Meanwhile, you're still hurt from the previous fight, or are still fighting his buddy. Have this happen to you a few times and I promise you will be seeing red. Also, the map feels kinda small. Maybe when they take this AAA game out of beta testing and actually give us the missing bit of the map, it will feel better. And speaking of the map, the actual map is also garbage. Stuff gets overlapped or icons simply go missing, and if that wasn't enough, they couldn't be bothered to figure out how to put all this crap in one map, so they gave you two maps instead with different icons. If that wasn't bad enough, the wind actually pushes you off course, which is realistic, so you end up having to switch back and forth between the two maps all the freaking time. Who came up with this? As a matter of fact, the entire interface feels like a decrepit old grandpa. Icons go missing, your own player marker goes missing, quests can actually get stuck if you accept two quests too fast. I was stuck flagged in PvP and couldn't even quit. One time I got this quest where I needed to hunt this sea monster and I thought I was a genius and I just quit the quest partway through so I can farm the mats. But this geriatric patient of a game was onto me, cause the entire quest bugged out and instead of being a daily quest for me, it became a 48-hour quest. And while you're navigating the sea and having to navigate the stupid maps while trying to ignore the spammy bugged out notifications, you also need to be careful with these level 10 ships the game spawns around you when you're transporting pieces of 8. You might say that's not too bad, you just need to be careful. Well, yes. But again, there's a problem. They spawn for any player that has a piece of 8. So if a few players have pieces of 8 on them, the map gets swamped with level 10 and 11 ships that hit just as hard or maybe even harder than players do. Now I can survive because my ship is a level 10 and it's a tank. But imagine a lower player joining us. He would get destroyed. Mind you, I stopped seeing any new players, probably because the people who were stupid enough to buy this game are already max level, and any potential new players now know not to waste their money on this crap. How is this weaker than a 20-year-old game? I must have played that thing like a bajillion times, with immortality cheats of course, just sailing around, It had a ton of awesome huge ships, land combat, exploration, gear for you and your ship, but if you expect all of that in a modern AAA game, then you're just insane. And it's a shame because the game actually has potential. I've already clocked in a decent amount of time and I'll probably be playing it some more. Though to be fair, I don't know if it's because it's fun or simply addictive, and there's a big difference. If they added normal combat, boarding, exploration, more ships, and fixed the bugs, and fixed the chat, and fixed the spawning of high-level ships for pieces of 8, basically fix everything I've talked about, it would probably be a good game on which to build with different expansions. And I know this game is getting destroyed by pretty much everybody out there, but in my opinion, it's not enough. This game needs to get so much backlash, so much pushback that Ubisoft actually fixes it. It needs to be biblical. Will it happen? Probably not. Ubisoft is not Hello Games and we all know the internet is forever, but we also know it suffers from ADD and it will most likely move on to other stuff. Hell, the video isn't even over yet, and you're probably already searching for some funny cat video.